unusual for him. He's won triple headers before, believe at Bristol for sure. And Kyle won the inaugural Sprint Cup Series race here at Kentucky Speedway, driving the number 18 Double Mint Toyota in the Sprint Cup Series this weekend. Kyle, talk about the triple header and your outlook for that.
Well, we're certainly optimistic. You know, it's exciting to be able to come here and at least we have a break. It's not quite as busy as it was the last time I ran the triple here, running the test day and everything else, and being in a car for 12 straight hours and getting a bit dehydrated. So today's been good. It's been quiet. And, you know, looking forward to the opportunity here this weekend. I feel like our Toyota Care Tundra on the truck side's pretty decent today, and we'll see how the nationwide car is tonight and then on into tomorrow with our Double Mint Camry for the Cup race. So this has been a place that's been pretty good for me here lately, and hopefully we can continue that trend here this weekend.
Thanks, Kyle. We'll take questions now for Kyle Busch. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll come with a wireless. Jeff Hood, and then Bob Pockris, and then Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, raise your hand there, Jeff, and we'll get you the wireless.
Jeff Hood of Racing Today. Kyle, you were out practicing earlier. What are the bumps like now compared to last year?
I think they're somewhat the same. You know, I don't think they really got much worse. It kind of depends on what your setup is in your race vehicle. You can help the bumps out, but you can also slow your car down doing the same thing. So, you know, you really have a fine balance there that you've got to work on and making sure that you can get over the bumps well enough, but yet keep your car fast. So it's a trade back and forth a little bit there, but as far as the bumps go, I don't foresee they got much worse from last year. So I think it's pretty much the same.
Let's go over here to Bob, and then we'll go to Jeff.
Bob Pockris, Sonoma. Coming in here from Sonoma, were you really upset after that race, or is that just kind of the nature of road racing?
Really upset. Nope. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Bob.
Let's go to Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I saw on your Twitter feed, I think it was last week, that you were talking to somebody about nationwide stuff, and you said, I pretty much guarantee they're going to make like a Busch rule at some point to limit the kind of stuff that you can do. Keselowski was just proposing an idea, I guess, that where Cup guys couldn't race for Cup teams in nationwide. They could still race as much as they wanted, but they'd have to race for, you know, themselves or somebody else. Would you still hate that idea? Would you hate any idea as much, or what do you think of that idea?
I don't mind that idea. I mean, I tried it last year with my team, and it was fine. I felt like we had made a lot of gains throughout the year, and you know, late in the year, my worst finish was 10th at Montreal, and I got wrecked 3 times in that race. You know, we finished 10th. All the rest of the finishes were 6th, 8th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, anywhere in between we finished. So we had a microphone go out. But, you know, we ran competitive. And, yeah, we never really got a win. But, I mean, Homestead, I led the most laps. And for some reason, I don't even remember what happened in Homestead. But we missed the opportunity of winning. And Chicagoland in the second race that we ran there, we led a lot of laps. And then all of a sudden, Ricky Stenhouse makes an adjustment on a last pit stop, and he's 0.2 faster than the whole field. And then Kansas, you know, we're leading the race to the checkered flag if it was only a 300-mile race, but it turned out to be a 314-mile race, and, you know, we were short on fuel. So there's just things that you got to have go right, but there's no doubt that we didn't have good enough stuff that we couldn't have won. So I don't mind racing my own stuff again. That'd be fine.
Let's go over here to the left to Claire, and then we'll go in the back. Go ahead, Claire. Get Claire the mic, and then we'll go to the gentleman in the back.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I'll ask you the same question that I asked Brad. I think it was a Turner Motorsports executive or whatever, just sitting there walking in the line to have coffee a couple of weeks ago, and he said, man, you know, Kyle Busch is racing again in the nationwide, and people say it doesn't help that much, but it helps more than anyone really can put down, that to race a nationwide and then go to the Cup race, even though you wouldn't think the two would apply. You think it's momentum? You think it's rhythm? Can it be in your head more than it is technically even applying to it?
For me, I like laps. I like being able to get out there on the racetrack and run as many laps as I can. So to me, just getting that extra track time is sort of like extra practice, and I don't mind taking advantage of all that. So for the guys that don't do it, like the Jeff Gordons or the Jimmy Johnsons or the Clint Boyers or whoever, why they don't, I don't know. I guess maybe because they're not as successful at nationwide racing, so they don't find the benefit of it. I don't know. But for me, I like racing in it. Yeah, I win a lot nationwide and maybe not so much in Cup, and people might think that I need to concentrate more on Cup, but tell me how last year went for me in the Cup Series, and, I beg to differ that it doesn't help being able to run in Cup Series or nationwide.
Let's go to the back row. Go ahead, sir, and then we'll go to Lee.
I'm Kyle Jeff Woods, WBKO. Obviously, you won here 2 years ago. You were running well last year before you had some troubles. Obviously, this track fits you well. Why do you believe that you run well here, and does that maybe factor in your decision to run all three this weekend?
No, it doesn't really factor in. It's just we're here for all three, and I got sponsors for all three, so I'm going to run all three. But, I like running here at Kentucky. Why I run well here, I don't know. It's just it's an interesting racetrack. It's certainly challenging. It's tough, so I think it brings out the better drivers. And, certainly, like I said before, you've got to have a good handling race car here around the bumps, but you can detune the speed of your race car to get over the bumps better and slow your car down, which is not very good. So, you've got to kind of find a happy medium of that. And I feel like Dave Rogers does a really good job of being able to help me with that, as well as just being able to keep the speed in the car.
Go to the back row let's go to Reed, we'll go to Lee, and then we'll end with Kevin.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Kyle, I think you and Matt are set to square off at Slinger again in a couple of weeks.
No.
Oh, you're not? Are you racing late model?
Matt, it's the Milwaukee Mile.
The Milwaukee Mile. That's
Yeah.
When you guys are the headliners at an event like that, now that he's a teammate of yours in Cup, do you cut more slack or not in terms of the way you race him?
At short track events?
Yeah.
I hate Matt Kenseth. He cheated last year and won the Slinger Nationals. That's why I'm never going back to Slinger. So, hometown hero gets favoritism. My home track, they would have DQ'd me 3 times. So, we're not sure what's happening, but we're going to Milwaukee Mile to run that race, and it's going to be fun. I ran there last time in 2008, I think it was. Matt and I both ran it. And it was a fun race. I led some of it. Matt led some of it. We battled back and forth and stuff. And then he sort of faded late, and Chris Wimmer came on at the end, and he was really fast. So it was a fun race. There was a lot of cars there last year that showed up to run that event. And being in the middle of the week, I think it separates the weekend warriors from having to race in their respective series. So it allows a bunch of cars to go to this race. I think there's already 80 cars entered, so for only 42 starting spots. So it's going to be interesting, and there's a lot of good talent that comes from that race, from the South, from the Northeast, from the Midwest, and everywhere. So, and it's a big track. I mean, guys like going to Milwaukee, and I think it's really easy to get yourself out of shape there and possibly get hurt in a late model. But a lot of guys enjoy running that race, and there's a bunch of 15-year-olds in the race too. So it's going to be fun to see.
We'll go to Lee and then finish with Kevin.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports.
Ooh, let's fix that, Tim, if we can.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry. Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Talk a little bit about your teammate Denny Hamlin. Last week after the race, he was saying that he just didn't feel like you guys, the 11 team was where your team and Matt's team are right now. You feel like it was just maybe too much of an uphill battle for him to try to come back and do what he was trying to do and either get a wild card or get into the chase?
When he came back, he ran fine. I think he finished second at Darlington and then fourth or something, sixth at Dover maybe. So we all expected that everything was normal, everything was fine, but now we've gotten to a couple racetracks where, like Michigan, for myself, I haven't run good there since the repave. I don't know that Denny has either, but Matt has, and Matt was running 4th to 5th, so I think that's sort of about all we had. And then last week, at Sonoma, it's a crapshoot. It's anybody's race. So, certainly I felt like we had a 4th or 5th place car, and we finished 35th with it. So, anything can happen. It's just, I think Denny learned a lot of stuff and saw a lot of stuff sitting out those few races, which had helped the organization. And I believe that now him being back in the seat, they're doing everything they can, and they're sort of throwing Hail Marys a little bit maybe. But, one of these days it might stick, and, they'll hit it. So nothing against what those guys are doing. It just seems they run a little bit different setup than Matt and Kenseth and I do every weekend. So, like I said, one of these weekends it might hit, and they'll show us all that they can, still win, and which they're capable of doing. It's fine.
Final question over here to Kevin, please.
Kevin Kelly, the Cincinnati Enquirer. Kyle, you've done these triple headers enough in your career to probably develop a routine. Can you talk about how you fine-tuned what you do on weekends like this to kind of keep yourself fresh through Sunday, or Saturday in this case?
It essentially starts throughout the whole week. You've got to stay hydrated. You're not just going to all of a sudden pick up your hydration on Thursday or Friday, your first practice day or whatnot. So, that's the biggest thing, is just trying to keep the amount of fluid in you, so when you do sweat, you're not just drained. And, that's sort of the biggest thing that I fight, is just being able to make sure that I'm well enough there. But, years ago when I was a youngin', when I first running in the Nationwide Series for my first race, is 300 miles, man, I was wore out. I was like, man, this hurts. Then I started running the 500-mile cup races, and I was wore out. Then you start running the doubles, and you're wore out. Then you start running the triples, and you're wore out. But the more and more you start doing that stuff, your body becomes used to it, and now you're not wore out anymore. I could run a 500-mile cup race by itself, like last weekend at Sonoma, and feel fine, ready to go. Or I could run a triple at Bristol, or where else did I run one this year? Somewhere, I'm sure. I don't remember. But anyways, I get out and I'm fine. Dover, okay? After the race in Dover, it was really, really hot in Dover. I actually felt worse after the truck race than I did the cup race. So it's like your body gets used to it, and it just goes from there. So for doing it for this long, for so many years, it's just repetitive, and you're used to it.